I feel like this is one of those people where you hear the name and you know who it is, but you're not totally sure why you know who it is. Like Dan Brazilian or Amaranth. I don't think I've ever seen content from either of those people in my whole life, but I know who they are. I have like a mental image in my head. I know Dan walks around with a bunch of sleuts. I think Amaranth has red hair. I'm pretty sure Tana's blonde. I think Tana Mongeau, Mojo kind of fits into this category as well. One of the reasons I know who she is because iDubbbz made that fantastic content cop on her 6 or 7 years ago before he decided to be a complete bitch just to please his demon OF girlfriend. iDubbbz, come pleasure me. Anything for you, my sweet. She's also been in the news recently for this guy, Cody Ko, who just straight up committed a crime against her. Just because the victim isn't perfect doesn't mean that she's not a victim, so that was super fucked up. I thought I was going to make a video about that, but the video literally would have been, oh, this guy tried to strike a chord. Kendrick, a little help here. And then Kendrick would have said the line. If you want a more in-depth talk piece about the Cody Ko thing, I would check out the D'Angelo Wallace video. Fantastic video, by the way, but I'm not going to talk about that, like I said. I'm going to talk about something else that's probably way funnier and put shame to her. This ballad, we have a story of love, betrayal, hypocrisy, irony, and probably something else. I don't fucking know, dude. Right, so this is the Robin to the Batman. Her name is Brooke Schofield, and she runs the podcast with Tana. Now, remember how I mentioned irony? They call the podcast canceled because Tana's been canceled like 600 times, right? But I'll get into why she's canceled later. Now, Tana is trying to cancel Brooke because of tweets that she made well over a decade ago. I think there's one that was in 15. The main tweet that I see most people talking about is this Zimmerman tweet right here. And listen, nobody really knows what happened that night. But I'm like 99% sure that Zimmerman is guilty as fuck. I thought it was pretty obvious that Zimmerman was just looking for trouble. I guess the court didn't feel that way. And I don't think he was a thug. I knew his dad had gang ties, and I know he was a heavy lean sipper, but so what? He wants to go buy lean and Jolly Ranchers. Who gives a fuck? Leave him alone. But one thing I am certain of is that he didn't deserve to die that night. So yeah, it was a fucked up thing to tweet, totally. But what, she was 16 when she tweeted that? She's like pushing 30 now? I just think we should calm down. Here are the other tweets that came up, and most of these seem like they're jokes, but dude, I don't know why you would ever put this on the internet. I'd also like to preface that these aren't very funny jokes, but they do seem like they're in a joking manner. Especially because she's not a comedian. Now, the point of comedy is finding the line that you're gonna piss people off and that is not okay to cross, and then doubling down and crossing it. That's what comedians do. But she is not known as a comedian. She has no means to back this up, and she's completely unprepared when this gets pulled up, which is why she went on a worldwide apology tour instead of just doubling down and being, yeah, they were jokes, everybody calm down. And I also feel like this has a lot to do with the sponsors, right? You're a podcaster. You're supposed to be neutral and just talk about things.
Hello and welcome back to the Canceled Podcast.
Yeah, maybe you throw some shade at somebody. Hey, we're still gonna sponsor you. You get views. Versus if you sponsor a comedian, you know exactly what you're getting into. But don't get me twisted. The last thing I want to do is white knight her here. I put her on blast a little later in the video. I'm just trying to provide some context. But listen to this. I've always said this, and I will continue to die on this hill. Canceling people is stupid because that means you either take everything in bad faith or you literally have nothing better to do with your life. Except obviously in very extreme cases, okay? But you know what I'm saying. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but it's generally only the white people that care about stupid shit like this. But staying on the topic of white, we're going to talk about white savior Tana Mongeau. So Tana goes on the Canceled Podcast solo, permabans Brooke like we're in a Minecraft server, and condemns her. Before we get into the video of Tana actually explaining this, I'm going to make a judgment call and say that Tana knows exactly what she's doing in pursuit of financial gain. And also so that she doesn't lose her career. These two both know their audiences. Although I don't think Brooke is the sharpest tool in the shed, I think Tana is. You don't get that wildly successful for that many years without being smart. And even though I don't think Brooke is that smart, she knows, or at least has somebody who knows her audience. And you'll find out what I mean when I say she plays white savior. So this is my little disclaimer right here, right? Because when calling somebody out like this, especially with this sensitive of a topic, I have to use my words very carefully and say exactly what I mean. So the rest of this video is going to be how I interpret these messages and what I gather from these. So I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I am.
Obviously, as you guys can see, I am alone on this couch. Brooke is not here with us today, and I want to be abundantly clear that that was my decision. We all saw the tweets, and they're fucked up, and they're horrific, and I'm saying that as a white person.
Surely you won't bring up your race 5 times this video.
Right? Like, I cannot even imagine being a black non-fan or fan and reading those tweets.
I'm just nitpicking here, but I feel like if you're going to condemn somebody, it has to be pretty well thought out. And it wasn't just black people. It was a lot of other groups too, but carry on.
And I've made it very clear to Brooke as well that I condemn her for these tweets, and they're fucking horrible. And
it's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. Fuck them.
I have no right to forgive her as a white person for the things that she said.
You're not going to forgive your best friend because of the color of her skin? Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. This ties into the white savior complex I was talking about.
Before I get into a little more of my thoughts on this, I'm also wrong in this situation, and I want to be open and honest with you guys about that. When Brooke made her first apology video, I commented on it and I said, "We grew up bad. I love you." And immediately regretted it so hard. Realized how fucking stupid it was for me to fucking say that. I'm going to beat myself up for that forever, quite frankly.
Yes, white savior. Beat yourself up about it.
It's not my place as a white person to forgive her or add to the problem and further the narrative of white people forgiving other white people. And
so then who forgives her, Tana? Is she never to be forgiven? If white people can't forgive white people, then who has to forgive her? When will forgiveness be given? Because it sounds like you want minorities to come together and forgive her collectively. You see how fucked up that sounds? And then, only then, will white savior Tana forgive her. This so brutally reminds me of a South Park episode where Randy Marsh says the N-word on Wheel of Fortune. So obviously every black person is mad at him, so he has to go apologize to who is deemed the king of black people, who funny enough ends up being Jesse Jackson.
Kiss it.
So he apologizes to Jesse Jackson by hilariously actually kissing his ass. Then it says in the newspaper, black people forgive Randy, so it's cool. Then Stan goes to school and sees his black friend Tolkien and says, "Hey man, it's all good. My dad apologized to black people." And Tolkien goes, "I don't give a shit. We're not just one big fucking hive mind that all thinks the same and does the same shit. I'm my own person."
It's not enough to just write these things off as we grew up bad, and I think...
Really? You sure seem to have write your shit off pretty well.
It's cool when they do it.
That I learned that now, and that shows me that I still have things to learn and unlearn. And I just first wanted to apologize to anyone I hurt for commenting that on her video.
Do you see what I mean when I say white savior complex for financial gain? White savior complex is a term that's used to describe white people who consider themselves wonderful helpers to black, indigenous, and people of color. But they help for the wrong reasons. Now, why would somebody want to go through so much time and effort, super savior, super ally, apologizing for her friend, and even apologizing for a comment she left saying, "I love you"? Oh, fuck, wait, I actually can think of something. Serious question here. Did we ever stop and think for a second that maybe everybody's their own person and we shouldn't be putting racial groups into a box? And I know what she's trying to do. Hey, I have white privilege. I'm in a position of power. I need to speak up and speak out and condemn these things. But there is just something so fishy about somebody going through this amount of effort and time to condemn her best friend on decade-old tweets. I don't know how to explain it, but Tana handling this whole situation has the same vibes as this Reddit post that I'm going to read to you. Anyone else try to show nearby black people that they're listening to Ye? Yesterday I was at the airport waiting for my plane while listening to the Donda album when a black man sat across from me. I wanted to show him that I'm not a racist and that I stand with him, but not in an obvious way. So I opened the Spotify app, turned my brightness to max, and laid it on my chair's arm. I don't think he noticed though. I did this once before in my college class where a black student sat next to me. I decided to play some Kanye through my AirPods and had my phone facing him, and I gave him a short nod. I like to think that I'm on the right side of history and that I will make their day. Anyone else do this? Now tell me I'm fucking crazy and that this doesn't have the same vibes as that Reddit post.
I might be the last person you guys or anyone wants to hear have a take on Brooke's tweets.
You know you're a stupid right?
You fucking
Impression of a black girl on Jordan Chocolate Bunny.
Shut up,
I need four-ply.
the things that I've said, and I've apologized for them a million times, and I'm more than happy to apologize until the day I die. They were hurtful and disgusting and racist, and I know that. While I do think that I've grown so much as a person from who I was in those tweets at that time, I know that there's always more growing for me to do.
And this is my biggest problem with this, is that she can grow, but others can't, because she's addressed it, and I guess Brooke hasn't. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be ousted on the internet to grow as a person. And this is supposedly your best friend. And listen, no doubt about it, she fucked up. But as your best friend, you're letting her go out sad like Cujo. Fucking shot 'cause of rabies. Obviously, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes with him, but if this is my best friend, like many of you, I'm sure, my first phone call isn't, hey, fuck you, I'm condemning you to save my white savior complex and for my financial status. My call is, dog, you fucked up really badly, but we're gonna get over this. We're gonna figure out how to get through this. Because that's what a friendship is. It's loyalty. And I'm quoting a rapper right here, but 21 Savage is exactly right. You can love somebody and still stab them in the back. But if they're not loyal to you, then they were never your friend in the first place. You know how much better it would have been if they would have just said, hey, we shipped her off to anti-racist camp for 3 weeks, she'll be back. But instead, for whatever reason, you chose the white savior route. I don't get it.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this today. I felt like if we just started the episode, Paige and I saying hello and welcome back to the Canceled Podcast, that's just exercising my white privilege, and it's not something that I want to do or be any part of.
I watched that back like 2 or 3 times, and I don't know what she means by that. I understand the concept of white privilege perfectly well. I just don't know what she means by that specifically.
Quite frankly, I'm hoping Brooke is taking the time right now to reflect and grow and learn in a lot of the ways that I did.
Of course she's not. All this shit happened a decade ago. What the fuck is she supposed to do? Sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to lock myself in a cage today.
And listen, I have always known from my first apology video and forever for the rest of my life that there will be people who will never forgive me for many things I have said and done online, for many of my ignorant, horrible takes. You know?
I also don't particularly understand this, oh, there are people who will never forgive me. These people don't know you. These people aren't your friends. They're your subscribers or your followers, or they see you in the news. You don't have people sitting there going, you know who I will never forgive? Tana Mongeau. Unless you really, really actually have nothing better to do with your time. The only thing that people do is they sit there and they go, oh, Tana Mongeau? Yeah, she's an asshole. I don't like her. And that's it.
Now, when I told Brooke this the other day, I said, you have to make peace with the fact that there will be people that never forgive you, and this may recirculate for the rest of your life, and you have to be ready to be open and honest and talk about it, right? And I do want to say something right now that I don't necessarily know if it's going to go over well. And if it doesn't, listen, I read all of your comments. I see every TikTok. I see everything you tag me in. You are the first people who can tell me, shut the fuck up, you shouldn't have said that, and I will come back on this couch next week and actively learn and grow in front of you. I have known Brooke for 3 or 4 years now, and we have been working on the Canceled Podcast for almost 3. And I asked her to sit down on the couch, and it ended up snowballing into this thing where she is my co-host, right? And in all of that time that we worked together, touring, everything, I never once saw or heard her exhibit any behaviors that, or words or anything that align with those tweets. And if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here saying any of this right now. We would have never made it this far. I would have cut her off fucking immediately.
So taking these numbers into account and doing some simple addition, we can see that she's never said anything like that in the 4 years you've known her, because it's been 7 years since she's done anything like that. But she most definitely has not changed as a person. Me and Tana developed the critical internet theory, which means unless you get ass-fucked, exposed, outed by the internet, you can't change as a person. Me and Tana will see to it personally that you do not change as a person unless the entirety of the internet puts you on blast.
And that's not to excuse anything that she says, and it's not to say that I don't think she has so much more growing and learning to do as a person at all.
Based off of how you've handled this situation, I would assume you would instantly out her because you're a shitty friend. But like you were talking about, she probably hasn't said anything because as you get older, you change the way you think. And I also think it's very hard for somebody to learn and grow from something that happened a decade ago.
This shit circulate again in the media at the hands of a white person.
At the hands of a white person? I can't be the only one who thinks this is being totally blown out of proportion, right? Like, I'm not fucking crazy, am I?
At the hands of a dreaded white person.
Even if you are demonizing your own race, it still breaks us further apart than brings us closer together. How about instead of a white person being a white person and a black person being a black person, we're just all people? Have we thought of this? Because like I said, by demonizing a race, you're pushing us further apart. You're not making that line any thinner. And I was going to talk about Tana in this video, but the bullshit just keeps adding on. But that moon-faced simpleton Brooke isn't doing anything for herself either. She went on a worldwide apology tour, which is great, but then both of them collectively started throwing politics into this and talking about, well, you know, we were raised right-wing, so, you know, we were both brought up racist, it's not our fault. And then Brooke actually comes out and apologizes for liking a picture of Aiden Ross and Donald Trump.
If this gets any further, I have publicly stated my support for Kamala since she's been in the running, okay? And I still stand behind that. I know how stupid it looks that I liked that post today, and I literally want to kick myself in the fucking face for it.
We understand that Trump isn't a terrorist, right? Like he's the ex-president of the United States. This whole thing has been soft, but this specifically is soft as baby shit. I mean, come on. Somebody's getting on you for liking a picture of Donald Trump and you're entertaining it? You dumb hump?
But it was like mindless. I literally was on an airplane scrolling. I saw the last person in the entire world that I would think would be in the room with Trump. So I was like, this is crazy. And I liked the post. Worst timing ever. So fucking stupid. Not a Trump supporter. Okay? Period. I am not a Trump supporter.
Which is fine then, don't be a Trump supporter. But apologizing for liking a picture of Trump completely nerfs the point of why people wanted you to apologize in the first place. You were supposed to apologize because you were actively being racist on the internet. This has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with you fucking up. And when you say phrases like this,
I know how stupid it looks that I liked that post today, and I literally want to kick myself in the fucking face for it.
And like this,
and I liked the post. Worst timing ever. So fucking stupid.
I have to look at these tweets and think, okay, what about the Mexican, gay, and black Republican or Trump supporters out there? Do they not matter? Because if you say you're apologizing to everybody who is affected by this,
and obviously most important thing is that I'm so sorry specifically to black people and the other people of color who were offended by my tweets, okay? Because obviously I'm seeing a lot of like positivity in the comments and people saying that they forgive me, and it's all white people. And that's how I know I did not address this properly at all. So I want to be clear that this is directed specifically to black people and other people of color, and I'm not seeking white people's understanding or forgiveness, or approval, or whatever it is.
but then apologize for liking Trump's picture, you're basically saying, I apologize to everybody who I may have offended unless you don't align with the same political values as me. Then you should go fuck yourself. And I really don't like bringing politics up on the channel. This isn't supposed to be a political commentary or a political channel. But as I said in the Destiny video, if you demonize somebody for being on the other end of the political spectrum, that's not okay. Except for that one guy, I can't think of his name right now. He was in Germany like 80 something years ago. In that case, then it might be okay to demonize somebody. But like I said, nothing to do with politics, everything to do with racism. And then being dumb enough to use the same account or let it get out onto the internet. So in conclusion, I think Tana's a bad person. I think she knew exactly what she was doing. She's most likely racist. Maybe she's not, on the off chance I completely botched this one, although I doubt it. One thing I'm sure of is she's definitely a shitty friend. I'm not convinced that Brooke is a horrible person. I just think she's really dumb. I think she's just listening to the people around her and Tana on what she needs to do. Like, I don't know how you don't immediately hit up a PR representative and go, hey, how do I fix this? But I'm not in that situation, so I guess it doesn't really matter for me personally. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a great day.
When my tear ducts give issue, I can't use just any tissue. I need four-ply when I cry.
It's all about you, girl. Towards people of color, towards the LGBT community, towards everything. From these comment section.